Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sid.
And I am Mackie.
And we hit 20,000 freaking subscribers on YouTube.
20,000!
So we will admit this happened about a week and a half ago. We were in the middle of Andes Pacifico, or right after. It was crazy. We barely had time to celebrate it all or acknowledge it, and that was a shame because it's a pretty big milestone.
I'm pretty excited.
20K is a lot of people.
20K is a lot of people.
We really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
I think we could call ourselves the most stubborn YouTubers, mountain bike YouTubers, because we have pretty much from the beginning just kind of done our thing. And there've always been people going like, you should do more how-tos, or you should do like bike skills videos. And we were like, we don't want to do that. And we don't want to gimbal, and we don't want to do this and that. So we just sort of like stuck to our guns, and I feel like 20,000 of you guys are like, what they're doing is cool. And so that means a lot to us. Thank you guys so much for seeing our vision and seeing something worth subscribing to and following in our little channel. So to celebrate, we figured we would do our first Q&A episode and hang out, got a coffee, and we're going to answer some questions from our patrons. But first, we wanted to let you guys know about some opportunities to ride and hang out with us that are coming up at Sea Otter in just a few short weeks. We
have a couple of events that are going on there. The first is that we will be hanging out at the Janus booth from 3 to 5 on Friday, which is April 12th.
So open-ended meet and greet. Come say hi, get some stickers. If you want to ride with us, we will be doing a ride on Saturday starting at noon from the Vittoria booth. This will be a no drop, all levels welcome, just chill ride for about an hour, hour and a half.
It's going to be really fun. And then after that, we will be heading over to the Slime booth to celebrate their 30th anniversary?
We're not sure, but there will be ice cream. Supposedly. So 3 to 5 p.m.
Yep.
On Saturday, ice cream, slime booth, possibly some other slime athletes there as well. So we would love to meet as many of you guys as possible. So head to our website, sidandmacky.com/join us for all the details on that and future events that are coming up.
Yeah. So should we get into the questions?
Into these questions?
All right. From Kevin Dillon. He says, with 20,000 plus subscribers, the likelihood is great of your being noticed more when you're out and about. What are some interesting, unique, or odd encounters you've had with viewers and fans? First
of all, I just think YouTube viewers are awesome. Like, even when we only had like 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers, we would just like randomly run into people like in a parking lot. And they'd be like, I follow you on YouTube. And we'd be like, you're kidding!
No way!
So yeah, this actually happens a lot, and it's really cool. We had people recognize us in Chile, and all sorts of
like random places. We've had ones in Arizona. We've had ones in where were we? Laramie, Wyoming. Like, yeah, it's been really cool. We also get a certain number of Instagram messages of people being like, I just passed you on the highway, or like, your van was just going the other way.
A little recognizable.
A little recognizable in the van. We actually got one of those like 2 days ago as we were driving across the country.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
Funny. People are always like, oh, you're here. And we're like, oh, shoot. We were there 3 hours ago.
Please, if you do see us or our van, come up and say hello. We love meeting you guys. It's really awesome.
One of the best parts of doing this. Joe Powell asks, how far did you think the YouTube channel would go, and what made you guys start the YouTube channel? This prompted an interesting discussion with us, because the reason we started the YouTube channel is now like not at all the reason we do YouTube.
Yeah, it has changed. We started because we wanted more eyeballs on what we were doing so that we could attract out-of-industry sponsors.
Because remember, we were both racing professionally. We knew we had kind of a unique story being a couple that were both racing, but we kind of just like were doing Instagram on social media and just like sharing race photos and kind of like doing the pro athlete thing. And we actually consulted with a student-run ad agency at Ohio University. So since it was student-run, it was free for us. Basically, we were just a project for them.
Yeah.
And so we came in and talked to them and showed them all of our media and what we were doing. And they prepared a report for us where they basically were like, you need to, you know, tell these day-to-day stories. And like, what about vlogging? What about... So like, yeah, it wasn't even really our idea.
Yeah, so, and then we were like, okay, and it took us a while. Like, we did our first year of YouTube in 2017, and like, we weren't consistent, and we, you know, but we enjoyed it, but we didn't really do a whole lot. We kind of only did races.
We weren't focused on it. We were racing a ton. Mackie was actually running a race series.
Yeah.
We were doing things in like 20 different directions, and we didn't really get YouTube. We were like, this is another social media network that as athletes we can post stuff to, and that's like not what YouTube is at all. And we sort of started to figure that out, and as we got more into YouTube, we were like, we want to do this like for the storytelling aspect. Like, we don't want those big out of industry sponsors that we were originally trying to go for, because that's gonna like change. We don't want to be like that we have
controlled or like have to tell a certain story. Like, we want to tell you guys our story and what is actually happening. And like, sure, we work with sponsors and we like promote their products because they have helped us out and we appreciate that and we believe in their products. But we don't want to have someone come in and be like, you have to do this video. Like, that's just not what we want to do. So it's changed.
So it's changed
quite a bit.
A lot. The other part of that question is like, how far did we think the channel would go? I don't think we ever put a number on it. I think when we started, it was like sort of just like another thing of like many things that we were doing, and we didn't expect it to become necessarily like the thing, but it has, and that's really cool.
We still use Instagram and we still use Facebook, but like our focus is very much YouTube
because
now.
The community here is so much stronger than on Instagram or like other social media networks that we've used. It just seems like a completely different environment, and I really like that.
Yeah.
So another YouTube question, James Wood asked, do you walk around with a camera all day and then plan out the story, or do you plan out ahead of time of what you want to film?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
And that also has changed as we've done YouTube.
Yeah, when we first started, we were like, we'll just film everything, and we had no idea what we were doing.
And it was stressful, honestly. Like, it's stressful. It's hard to live your life if you're constantly, like, recording it. Initially, we did that. Since we have changed it to like, we think about, okay, where are we going to be? What are we going to be doing? And what's interesting? Nobody cares that we brush our teeth every day. So
maybe some of you do.
Well,
if there are any dentists out there,
yes,
you probably
they might,
be happy to know that we do brush our teeth twice a day. When we do decide like, oh, we're going to vlog this, then basically we do walk around with the camera, because we still want to show like what is actually happening. We don't want to go into it with like such a scripted idea that we like force.
Yeah, we don't want to like make up the story.
Yeah. With the race vlogs, we definitely do just like roll all the time and then later be like, what was the story here? Yeah. Because you just never know, especially with racing. You're like, this is the story I want to be what happened.
The story was that I won everything.
Right, I won all the races. And then, that's usually not so what happens.
Apparently, our patrons are curious about how we deal with living together in a band. So we had a couple of questions.
We got a lot of relationship questions. I think you guys like putting us on the spot.
Yeah, I think you're hoping that we'll fight each other. Yeah.
So this question, what are the positives and challenges in your relationship with each other with riding, racing, and YouTube full-time? And I think the underlying question there is like, how do you deal with each other
all the time
24/7? And we do obviously spend a ton of time together. I would say we co-work very well. Like, a lot of our time is spent with us like in the same room or same house or same van, like working on computers. So we're not annoying each other that much because we're not actually really interacting.
It's really annoying when it's like, no, I'm just kidding.
And then training together, we train together really well. Because we work with a coach and he coaches both of us, he works it out so that when we're doing intervals, we're both, doing them at our pace, and we're each doing it at our individual pace and the intensity that we need. But then on our longer rides, we're able to ride together. This next question is a dangerous one.
Dangerous question. Chris Reed asks,
you must be very competitive and driven, yet come across as very mellow and laid back with each other. What's one thing or habit that pisses each of you off about the other?
Ooh, danger.
So I figured the safest way to answer this would be that we would each say what we think is the habit that pisses off the other person.
All right. Am I going first or are you?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll put myself out there. I suspect that Mackie will say that the thing that pisses him off the most is that I'm not very good at putting things back where they belong. And I take things out of places and then leave them all over the place.
She nailed it.
Yeah.
Yep, she got it. So my guess, and we actually did not talk about this ahead of time,
We were like, we'll do this on camera.
This is a good question about whether or not. So my guess is that Sid is most annoyed by the fact that I have a tendency to assume that there's more time in the day and in life than there is. And so I commit to too much or plan to do too much and like end up running late for things. And I've worked on that and gotten
But you know what I love about you?
What?
You're so self-aware.
Next, we had a couple of questions about riding, racing for beginners, which we thought were really interesting. So the first one is from Dylan Rhoda. Dylan says, what are some of the best trails that you think would be good for beginners anywhere in the U.S.?
Yeah, so we thought about that, and it's kind of a tricky question because there are obviously a lot of easy trails, but I think a good beginner trail has a lot more going for it, and that there is progression in that trail. And then there's progression in that trail network. Also think that having a really strong bike community is very important for beginners because you can ride with people that are at your level. When we were thinking about this, we were trying to think of places that we've been to that have trails that don't require a lot of effort to get to. So, because I know a lot of beginners, they're already tired by the time they get to the trail or get to the fun part of the trail. And so that's discouraging. And also that have very easy trails to like high, intermediate, difficult trails.
And also that are well marked because it's really annoying when you're like, I want to go ride my bike and then you don't know where the trail is and then you get lost and you end up on something that's way too hard or whatever. And so we were taking those things into consideration. Some of the places that we came up with that we have been to are Bentonville, Arkansas. Arkansas. And they've just done an amazing job. They have great progression, a strong bike community. Things are really well marked. Like it's
some very, very easy trails. So the other place that we thought of, which is total opposite from that, is Grand Targhee Resort up in Wyoming. And they have both cross-country trails and lift access trails, and as well as linking into some like really nice backcountry riding. And that to me stood out as a good beginner place because again, it's very well marked. You have this huge progression to like extremely gnarly bike park trails to like pretty easy XC trails.
Another beginner rider related question from Rachel Jones. She would like advice for first time bike racers.
Any tips and tricks for finding a race that will push you but still be manageable? That is that's always the question. Our advice would be to start with a local race or like a fun race. Just start in a totally no pressure environment. And have fun. And also set goals, but set goals that are under your control. So don't have the goal be like, okay, I want to win this race or be top 5 or whatever. Set a goal of
hard to control.
Finishing or not bonking halfway through the race or something that you can do by persevering or fueling properly.
Or preparing properly.
Things that are under your control.
The other part about doing a local or regional race is there are less logistics involved. Like, sure, racing in Chile is a blast, but if you haven't raced before, flying to the other side of the world and dealing with like sleeping with a tent and like flying with your bicycle and dealing with like all that stuff, it's just too many logistics. Like do one that's close that you can wake up in your own bed, drive to the race, go have a great time, drive back home, take a shower, and sleep in your own bed again.
Yeah, for sure. This is a very important question.
This is a very important question.
From Sarah. What is our go-to van burrito recipe? And red, green, or Christmas?
So let's talk about the second part first. Red, green, or Christmas? That's the official New Mexico question. And you're referring to chili, red chili or green chili. And in New Mexico, you can get red chili or green chili basically everywhere. And the official
answer is Christmas, which means both. However, I think we are both solidly on Team Green.
Team green chili.
Team green chili.
It's true. Go-to van burrito recipe. I would say our favorite is the classic breakfast burrito.
Yeah.
Saute some potatoes, eggs, breakfast sausage, and then add cheese and green chili and mix it all together and wrap it in a tortilla.
Okay, so here's another really good question, New Mexico related from RPM Bike Works. Do you think New Mexico is overlooked by other MTB content creators? If so, why?
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
I would say that I don't want to put the blame on content creators. I think New Mexico is kind of overlooked as a mountain biking destination in general. Why is there is a lack of infrastructure here and a lack of, marketing specifically for mountain bike stuff. Okay, another question that we get a lot. How do you gain back confidence on your bike after an injury? Big question.
The most honest answer is time. Like, you're gonna be scared. There's no point in being like, I'm fine. Like, you're going to be scared because crashing sucks. And when you get hurt, it sucks even more. And it's scary. So just accept that it's going to take time.
Don't feel like you immediately have to push yourself to progress right away.
No, move backwards. Like, if there was a jump that was like a certain size and that's what you got hurt on, work on jumps that are smaller. Work on other things. Like, focus
on those fundamental
fundamental skills.
Another question from Joe Powell. What was your worst crash and do you have it on tape?
The
crash question.
The crash question.
My worst crash was in Sun Valley, Idaho in 2016. I was going 30 miles an hour and I clipped a pedal on a bush. And I do have it on tape. We're not going to play it in this video because it's kind of disturbing.
She concussed herself.
Yeah, I completely knocked myself out. It's just not a video that you want to see. You might want to see it, but maybe I don't want you to see it. I don't know.
Sid doesn't want to see it. I had a hard time deciding on what the worst crash was because, like, when I think about worst crash, immediately I'm like, oh, it was probably when I, like, crashed in Einsa, 6 months ago. Cut open my arm and then got stitches.
Broke your wrist, which was like a nothing. Mackie tends to hurt himself on his most minor crashes.
And that's the thing is like fairly minor crashes, but serious injuries. But then I've also had like some crashes that look terrible, like this one. That I was totally fine. So, because we knew you guys wanted crashes, we included those ones for you. But yeah, it's really hard to say like what my worst crash was. I've been doing this for a long time and I've crashed a lot.
This is the perfect question to end on, I think, from Chad Fair. If you could live anywhere in the world but could only have one bike each, where would you live and which bike would you take and why?
So the easy part of this question is which bike. Should we say it at the same time? 1, 2, 3. Portal. There we go.
We might dodge the first part of this question because there's a reason we live in a van, and that is that we have not found that perfect spot. Northern New Mexico, definitely on the short list. Rotorua, New Zealand, definitely on the list.
Really hard to become a citizen, though.
Yeah, some logistical snags.
Yeah.
And then probably quite a few other places we haven't explored yet might go on the list over the next few years. Sun Valley, Idaho is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The reason we both choose the Portal is it is incredibly versatile. This year we will be racing everything from cross-country to downhill on it. It is a trail weapon, and we love trail riding. So that's a pretty obvious choice. It's also, I think, a trail bike that can be, with very basic mods, like doable for a downhill race, doable for an XC race.
Just fun for everyday riding.
Yeah.
And as a spoiler alert, I will be racing all of the races at Sea Otter on my Portal. That's dual slalom, downhill, cross country. What am I missing?
Enduro.
Oh, Enduro, obviously.
The thing that we do.
The thing that we do. So you guys will see how I am able to take that bike and race all of those things. I can't promise I'm going to win any of them, but I'm going to have fun. Those were the questions.
That was the thing.
That was the thing.
That was the thing that
this
we
is
did.
the thing. We're done. Done with the thing.
Thank you guys for watching. If you like this kind of Q&A video, give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments because it's something we can do more of in the future.
Sure.
And if you have questions, put them in the comments. Maybe they will make it into a future edition.
That's right. And until next time,
be
don't forget.
more awesome.
Great.
Sorry, I went too fast.
That's okay.
Try it again.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. And until next time, don't forget
to be more awesome. I wish I could wink.